The phone rang in the dead space between 1 and 2 a.m., a sound like a dental drill in the quiet of older Pete's apartment. He picked it up without looking. Only one person called on a landline anymore. "The world is a clogged drain," older Pete said by way of greeting. He was staring at a water stain on the ceiling that had slowly, over the course of a year, begun to resemble the face of a disappointed former gym teacher. There was a breath on the other end. "Hey." It was younger Pete. His voice was still a frequency that could tune out static, but now it was laced with a new, adult kind of panic. "I'm in trouble," younger Pete said. "Is it Artie? Is he stuck in a carburetor again?" "No, it's Ellen. She's threatening to leave." Older Pete took a slow sip of his coffee, which was cold and had been for hours. "Leaving is a form of time travel. She's just trying to get back to a point in her life before she knew you. It's ambitious. She says I'm not mature enough." Maturity is a myth sold by the same people who make beige furniture and give you a 401k pamphlet instead of a soul. "You're fine." A long silence, filled only by the hum of a dying refrigerator. Then the confession, whispered like a secret password into a club neither of them wanted to join. I told her I thought we should have a kid." Older Pete didn't laugh. Laughing would require a level of emotional engagement he'd mailed away years ago. Instead, he felt a profound cosmic weariness, as if every star in the sky had just rolled its eyes in unison. "A kid," he repeated, the word feeling alien and dangerous in his mouth. "You want to introduce a new consciousness to this sinking ship? You want to hand a new clean soul a membership card to the Committee for the Prolonged Agony of Being? I thought it would be, I don't know, an adventure." "It's not an adventure, Pete. It's a hostage situation where you're both the captor and the first one to have your kneecaps broken. You have to feign interest in its drawings of blobs. You have to pretend a plastic dinosaur is the most fascinating thing you've ever seen. You have to cheer when it successfully uses the toilet, a skill every stray cat masters without a standing ovation. It's a decades-long performance review where you're constantly failing, and the only feedback is the slow dimming of the light in its eyes as it realizes you're just a person who doesn't know how to unclog the drain, either. Younger Pete was quiet. Older Pete could picture him, probably in a hallway, the receiver pressed so hard to his ear it would leave a mark. "You've been too kind," older Pete continued, "and people usually say too nice, but I don't agree with that about you. There's some phrases I live by, and I think they'd help, if you'll excuse my dark humor. If you say you're gonna end someone, do it. You gotta be authentic. If you find out someone lied to you, they better start running. If they think about lying to you, they better start running too. And finally, how about some fucking respect? I think Lindsay Lohan said that once. Brilliant, huh?" There was a long pause on the line. "Maybe this was a bad idea," younger Pete said, his voice small. "What part was brilliant?" "The Lindsay Lohan quote," older Pete said without missing a beat. "But all of it you could use." Younger Pete, desperate to steer the conversation onto any other track, grasped at a memory. "Sometimes I miss Christy Wise. She was a good girl." "What? Christy? That elementary school girl? She kissed you and you did nothing, literally nothing. Do you still have that fucking girl tattoo?" "Petunia!" younger Pete blurted, the name a reflex. "Yep, that's the one." "I got it removed." "Good. They probably drugged you and did it. It was the fucking 80s after all." "That's not how I remember getting it." "Yeah, well," older Pete sighed. "You remember things differently." Younger Pete, scrambling for solid ground, offered another piece of his crumbling present. "I was recommended a doctor, but he doesn't see anyone under 18 or females, full stop. I'm thinking, mental problems?" Older Pete didn't even hesitate. "You spend 10 years in medical school thinking you can help people, while your former high school friends are being sexually promiscuous, and here you are, still thinking about that girl you walked past stroking a dog, wishing you'd talk to her, but you let that failure determine your patience." There was a long silence. Younger Pete had run out of detours. "But remember," Younger Pete started, his voice fragile with a hope that now felt even more desperate. Remember when we thought the whole world was held together by Mom's metal plate? That as long as it was in her head, the tectonic plates wouldn't shift? That we were safe? The plate was a lie, Pete. The plates are shifting. They've always been shifting. And now my water stain looks like Mr. Slaughton, and he's judging my life choices. So what do I do? Younger Pete's voice was small, a ship in a bottle on a very large, very dark sea. Older Pete looked from the water-stained face of his past to the blank, dark screen of his television, which showed only his own reflection. You have two choices, Older Pete said, the black humor giving way to something colder, truer. You can let her go and spend your nights alone talking to a water stain, or you can promise to grow up, which means learning to lie so convincingly about the state of the world that you eventually start to believe it yourself. Either way, you end up here. The only variable is how many people you drag with you. There was a soft click on the other end of the line. A woman's voice, tired, frayed. Ellen's. She'd been on the extension. See? Younger Pete said, his voice cracking. I told you he'd give it to me straight. The line went dead. Older Pete placed the receiver back in its cradle. The hum of the refrigerator seemed louder now. He looked up at the water stain. It did not offer any answers. It never did.